Today's detail is on a brand new 2025 Tesla Model 3. This is actually for a repeat customer. Her previous Tesla we had ceramic coated for her, and she had loved how much easier maintenance had been for her. And so when she purchased this new vehicle, not only did she want a professional grade ceramic coating applied, but she's actually already invested over $1,000 in full PPF on this vehicle. She contacted me and said, I want the ultimate protection that you can have for this vehicle because she's planning on keeping it for many years. Even though we have some water spots, road bugs, and grime on this vehicle, I'm going to share with you guys how we safely prep a fully coated PPF vehicle for a ceramic coating. We're also going to be doing an interior detail, most of that off camera because it's pretty straightforward, really good vacuuming, cleaning of our mats, as well as deep cleaning our white vegan leather. So for those of you that are looking for a professional grade coating, as well as tips on how to prep a vehicle that has PPF on it for ceramic coating, let's go ahead and get started. Now, since we're cleaning black matte wheels, I highly recommend investing in microfiber products to clean those wheels to help prevent scratches because you can't polish matte wheels to remove scratches. For our prep also, we're going to be using the Autofiber Holy Clay Towel. This is just going to try to reduce marring on the paint to minimize the amount of polishing that we need to do. First, we're going to clean all of our door jambs with Superior Products Dark Fury, and then we're going to come in and try to gently clean all of our black wheels. Once those areas are clean, we're going to foam on our release from Mile Deep. This is going to go after any of the road boogers, the bug guts, and anything that is stuck on the paint, so that way we can pressure wash them off and our contact wash will be much safer. Now we can safely come in and do our contact wash with the extreme foam formula from Keys 37. And when they say extreme, they ain't kidding. Literally mounds upon mounds of soap suds. Now, I don't use a 2-bucket wash method. I basically will use one, but if you pick up a lot of dirt like we did on these lower panels, one, we're going to flip to our clean side and we're going to do one panel with one side of our mitt. And then I'll use a grit guard if we do pick up some dirt. Blast that off, and then we can safely clean our paint. We don't need to do 2 buckets. You just want to make sure that you're inspecting your mitt in between each panel, so that way if you pick up any dirt, you can rinse it away. Fortunately, any sort of water spots that we had on our vehicle were washed away with our contact wash. We don't need to do a water spot treatment, but now we're going to go ahead, get everything fully dry, pull it into the garage, and get started on our paint correction. Now, because we had to do a decontamination on the paint with an iron remover and a clay towel, there might be some light marring on the PPF, and PPF cannot tolerate high heat or aggressive compounds or pads. So we're just going to dial the paint in with a white foam pad in optimum hyper polish, low speed, quick passes, and we're able to very easily perfect our paint. Then we will use a rinseless wash to wipe off all of our polish residue. We will also follow that up with a panel prep wipe to prep for our ceramic coating. But the basic principles to follow when polishing PPF is avoid any polishes that have silicone in it. Optimum Hyper Polish is one of my favorites to polish PPF with. And you also don't want to overheat the panel. I like to use white or orange foam pads at the most to polish PPF with, so avoid any sort of microfiber or wool. This is from Art De Shine. This is their nano graphene ceramic coating V3, up to 7 years of durability. One of the things that I have always appreciated most about Art De Shine is that they listen to their installers and they have updated their coatings to become more user-friendly. Now, this has anywhere from a 5 to 15 minute flash time based on the environment that you're in. We are a little bit higher humidity, so we're probably going to be closer to that 5 minutes today, but this is a very user-friendly application. So for those of you that are looking for a pro-grade authorized installer only coating, I'm going to demonstrate for you guys what this coating looks like application and what it can look like on the vehicle after it is applied. You can see this paint looks glorious. We do have PPF on this. This is PPF safe. So let's go ahead and get NGC V3 applied to our Tesla. Now, most authorized installer only ceramic coatings are going to be a little bit on the pricier side. This was over $200 to purchase, but you're going to be able to get numerous vehicles with one bottle, as well as warranty cards and information for your customers. Now, because I don't like the orifice within this and it is a thicker product, we're going to take the orifice out and use the eyedropper to get the coating out of the bottle. It is very thick, so we're using the Geon applicator. It is more suede and a foam interface to help preserve the coating and make it easier to apply. Whoa, that is thick. You'll notice that I put a stream down the middle to pull from. With the thicker product, that's just going to allow it to go a little bit further without drying up on the pad. Their instructions were a little confusing. It said to apply in semicircle moons and then a crosshatch pattern. So at first I was doing both, but I don't think you need to do both. So it goes on very thick, like glue. We got a long enough flash time that I can do this entire hood. Normally I have to do like 2 sections and level. Because of my ADHD, I set a timer for 5 minutes. This is what it looks like after applying it. We are a little thicker here just because our applicator was more primed. So we might actually go over these sections again just to make sure that we didn't go too thin with our coating. They sent 3 warranty cards. So that says to me this is enough to do 3 sedan-sized vehicles. I think we're just gonna stick with crosshatch versus both. The instructions said do circular, semicircles, and then crosshatch up and down. So I didn't know if that meant both. I think they mean pick one or the other. Personally, I prefer crosshatch, up and down, side to side. So we're going to wait 5 minutes just to make sure I'm not biting myself in the butt with a difficult removal process. So we're gonna go ahead, grab our towels, and let this sit for the remainder of our 5 minutes. So we are at the 5-minute mark, and you can see we do have some rainbowing going on. Let me show you. You can see it even more clearly. And we'll use this to inspect our paint to make sure we don't have any high spots, because if you were to miss any coating, it will stand out like a sore thumb with this light. Just makes ceramic coating application and removal so much easier. So they have said that this first towel, it is expected to be a little grabby. Hopefully it's not so grabby that I'm sweating. Definitely not. I think I had it in my head that it was going to be a lot more difficult. It is a little smeary, so we might let it sit on there a little bit longer, because that second towel, it is picking up a little bit more transfer solution than I want. They said up to 15 minutes with this. I don't want to work so far ahead that it bites me in the butt. So we just got to figure out with these first few sections what that sweet spot is in this temperature and humidity, what the leveling process is going to be like. We're going to do this section over here just because this was one layer, that over there was where we went over it the second time. And I feel like this is that sweet spot for grabbiness. Not difficult, but you can just feel you're removing something. And that second towel is super easy, and you can immediately feel slickness under the surface. Especially going from PPF, it's like a little under my hand. And now it is just, holy crap, that is smooth as butter. Now just for efficacy's sake, we've got a plush microfiber for our final touch. So that says to me, kind of that 5-6 minute window should be sufficient, because we went over these two a second time. It kind of gave us a thicker amount. So we're gonna let this one sit just a touch longer. that you can feel just ever so slight, a little grab. Not enough that I'm gonna hate it. Not enough that I'm gonna resent choosing this ceramic coating. You can see a little bit of smeariness or streakiness after that first towel, and even the second towel. That's why I think that third towel is definitely gonna come in handy, just to ensure we don't have any high spots with this. Because when you get into pro grade, authorized installer only coating territory, high spots are gonna be a whole nother beast that you don't wanna have to deal with. This was a little grabbier, this section, not difficult. I don't wanna confuse the two for you guys. This paint is so insanely slick under my towel. We're gonna come in with our softbox light. Make sure I don't have any high spots. Make sure you have an even appearance. Looking good over here. Didn't miss anything. Looking good. All right, so I would say 5 to 7 minutes with 60+% humidity is that sweet spot for us. But this paint is insanely slick. We had a pretty long work time. I could more than likely get 3+ panels done in that 5-minute frame. So we're gonna go ahead and just quickly finish ceramic coating the rest of this vehicle. So in 5 minutes, I was able to coat this entire section, not the roof, but this entire section. I just now set a 5-minute timer to see if it takes us 5 minutes to wipe off, because this was 5 minutes for my last section. We do have a good bit of rainbowing going on with our coating that you can see. It looks more wet, obviously, the further down we go. We have really nice rainbowing that we can see. So that says to me this is going to be pretty easy to see if what we missed. Even though this is a red colored vehicle, sometimes they can be a little tricky. Now, we basically coated body line to body line to know where we started and stopped. But I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to feel where we started and stopped. Now, even though this coating is safe to use on PPF and matte finishes, that doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be a breeze. I did run into some issues with some streaking that it just took a little bit more effort to massage those streaks out. But fortunately, our softbox light made that easy to discern and to remove. Let's see, that was 4 minutes. So we have 1 minute left. We're just gonna take our time. You don't have to speed through this. Even if you were to let it sit on there 7, 8 minutes. You might have a little bit more grab, but that second towel is honestly where it just becomes a lot easier. That first towel might be the only situation where you encounter that grabbiness. I've used so many different ceramic coatings where the flash times will vary. Some you apply and immediately have to level. I actually prefer to work with coatings that have a longer flash time like this. They just make the coating process more relaxing. So we do have just some streaks. It's not high spots, it's just uneven leveling. So thank God for this light. I am serious, if you guys do ceramic coatings and you do not have these lights, you are missing out. Because this takes the stress away of high spots. So that took 10 minutes for us to coat this entire section. I think we should be able to get this done in time for my daughter's soccer practice. We did not ceramic coat any of our glass with this product, but we could have if we wanted to. The customer had already invested in PPF on her glass, and so there was no need for me to ceramic coat it. And Teslas typically don't have a lot of trim, but we did go over all of our trim pieces, and this did a really nice job at just enriching them. Here's a close-up view at what that leveling process looks like. After you do your initial level, you can see it does have a little bit of a smeary look. And because this is a grabbier coating, sometimes your towels might have a tendency to bunch up on you. If you can, though, try to keep them in that neat quadrant fold. It's going to be a lot easier to remove the coating and just leave a nice crisp appearance. Another thing that I love about this product is that a little bit goes a long way. I found that I had to apply less and less to the applicator as we worked our way around the vehicle.
The applicator is so primed that I can just kind of keep going. It is definitely a lot thicker than I am used to applying with ceramic coatings. And normally, when you have this thick of an application, it means the leveling process is going to be just as involved, because that translates to higher solids. Higher solids translate to more durability. We're going to finish this section here and maybe even push it a little bit just to get our front bumper done, because then we're practically finished with applying. This will kind of push us closer to that kind of 7 to 8 minute mark. I'm keeping this in real time for you guys to see just how quickly you can work with this coating, even though it is thicker, a little bit more involved with applying. I can't rapidly slap it down. But if your customers are paying for a pro grade coating, there is going to be a level of skill and handling that needs to go into the application process. So we're gonna get this front bumper done. You can just see how thick our coating is.
Because we did push this coating a little bit further than we did on the other side, I did have even more streaks that we had to massage out. So I do think when dealing with PPF, you don't want to necessarily let the coating sit on there too long, because you might have to massage out more of those streaks. But we were still able to get everything crystal clear.
It took a little bit over an hour for us to apply this ceramic coating. A little bit more of an involved application and a little bit more of an involved removal process, and that is to be expected when you are working with a pro grade ceramic coating. So you can see everything turned out beautiful. No streaks, no high spots. We were able to inspect with our softbox light. We did have some streaking. That's what took a little bit longer for us to massage them out. I think because it's PPF, it was just responding differently to this coating, but not negatively, just a little bit differently. So what are my thoughts on pro grade authorized installer only coatings? When I first started detailing as a professional, I thought that the only way for me to be taken seriously by my customers and by other detailers was to become authorized with a pro grade ceramic coating. And so I reached out to many to inquire, and there are a few that I'm actually authorized with or was in the past. IGL, I inquired with Ceramic Pro, I inquired with SB3. Nowadays we have System X, we have Aquatech, we have Duraslick, and that's just to name a few off the top of my head of some of the more elite pro grade ceramic coatings that are out there. Now, sometimes with those companies, there are territories that you have to take into consideration. They're not going to sell if you're too close to someone else who is authorized, so sometimes that can limit what you can do. I didn't really benefit from the customer support that some people might look for with a pro grade ceramic coating company. If you have a shop or multiple employees, sometimes it is beneficial to have more involvement from a company with quality control, with warranties, with brand recognition, with shop recognition. Sometimes if you apply so many coatings, you win awards, and those awards get you recognition by customers. And so again, it depends on the level that you're wanting to be at and what your customers are looking for. I've never once had a customer call me and say, what coatings are you authorized to install? They just want to know, are they going to perform and how expensive are they going to be? The testing is really up to me. That's why I've put 35 coatings on my car to see out of the retail, prosumer grade and pro grade coatings, which are going to really live up to the real world hype. Durability claims are one thing on paper, but it's another thing out in the real world. So for me, as someone who works for my home, I don't necessarily see the benefits of having a pro grade authorized installer only coating. But for someone who's maybe wanting to go to that next level, has a shop, multiple employees, or you have the clientele that are specifically looking for a coating like that, it might be beneficial. So that's not to say that I am not going to use a product like this in the future, or that I'm only going to use prosumer grade coatings. I do have some customers that say, I want the best coating that you have on the market. Price isn't an option. This might be what I offer. But for some customers that say, I'm looking for anywhere from 2 to 5 years of durability, I'm looking for something that's going to be affordable, that's going to maybe withstand the automatic car washes, a prosumer grade ceramic coating could be more than sufficient for them. And the price point is actually going to be more accommodating, that if they're trading in their vehicles on a daily driver more frequently, like most of my customers are, if they're paying $800 or $1,000 for ceramic coating every 3-4 years, they're not going to be so shocked by the price that they'll never come back to me again. This is going to cost the customer $1,100 for the ceramic coating. And then we're going to be doing a leather sealant on the interior for $50. It didn't take much time, but because the ceramic coating costs more, I have to charge the customer more. If we were doing more of a 2 to 3 year ceramic coating for her, we'd probably be closer to $800. So again, price matters for certain customers. With this one, she didn't care. She actually wanted the best coating that I have. She has put a lot of money into this vehicle with PPF, and she wants the ultimate protection for her Tesla. And so that's why we went this route. Price wasn't an option, and she wanted the most durable option that I have. So that's where you need to do some research, figure out which coatings you want to offer your customers. What are some of the characteristics that you're looking for from the company that you buy from, as well as the coatings that you want to provide your customers, and then decide. It really is up to you. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed this demonstration of Art De Shine NGC V3. It's definitely not for, I would say, the first coating you want to ever apply, but it's not that difficult. I've been applying coatings for over 5 years. I've come to expect similar characteristics out of most pro-grade ceramic coatings. So once you know going into it, higher solids, little grabbier for the application, little grabbier for the removal, how to inspect for high spots. Other than that, it's just a typical coating application. It just costs a little bit more for me to purchase. But I'm curious, what are you guys' thoughts on pro-grade authorized installer only coatings? I feel like this is a conversation that I want to see more of online, because we do see those reps out there pushing for sales and telling you that this is the next big thing. And sometimes those companies fizzle out in 1 or 2 years. And when it comes to what your customers are looking for, do they really care if it's authorized installer only, or do they just want a product that you've tested that you know is going to work? So a lot of times it just comes down to you doing your research and testing the products in the real world.
So from start to finish, on the exterior, it took us 1 hour and 15 minutes to do our wash and decontamination, about 1 hour for us to do our polish, and then we did about 1 hour for the interior, just a quick vacuum, cleaning of our mats, cleaning of our leather, and then putting the sealant down, and then 1 hour for us to apply the ceramic coating. So from start to finish, we were able to get this entire detail done in under 6 hours. The customer was extremely happy to have the ultimate protection for her Tesla, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this closer look at what pro-grade coatings can do for you and for your customers. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below, and make sure you subscribe and follow so that way you don't miss out on any of our future details. But we'll see you guys in the next detail.